No, wait. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got it later. You're like, what was that?
Ms. Ritz,
Here.
Ms. Benson, Dr. D'Annunzio,
Here.
Mr. Perkins,
Here.
Chairman Williams,
Here.
Ms. Cromartie,
Here.
Mr. Kirschner,
Here.
and Mr. Stevens.
Here.
Okay, great. We have a quorum, yes? Okay. So we have asked Mr. Kirschner if he would lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Dearest God, we give you thanks for this day, the cool weather, the opportunity to spend time together on this committee, and the opportunity to represent ECUA and the citizens of our county. We remember the neighbors to our east, remind us how fortunate we were to dodge that storm. We ask that you bless the ECUA board members whom we sit with today and provide leadership and encouragement for all of us. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Mr. Kirschner. We're going to go to the adoption of our agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Thank you.
Visually.
If there are no additions to the agenda, I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda. And those will be out verbally because of our technological issues today. So
I'll make the motion.
thank you. Mr. Stevens made the motion and Mr. Kirschner seconded to adopt our agenda for today. If there are no questions, please vote. And our vote will be by a sign of hands for the adoption of the agenda. I see everyone's with their hand raised, so our vote passes unanimously.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and now we're moving forward to our open forum. Open forum. And we do not have our normal crowd here for open forum today.
Yeah, I wonder why.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Okay, so we're going to go forward to our presentations. And this is that time of the year we look forward to, where we get to hear from staff. And so today we're going to start our presentations off for this year's budget workshop with the executive administration.
Here.
They just passed out the FY '26 budget presentations. Give her that one, please. Okay, does everyone have a paper copy of the FY budget presentation? If so, good afternoon, Mr.
afternoon.
Woody. And we're ready for you when you're ready.
Since everybody else will be making presentation this podium, I figured it's only fair that I do so as well. This afternoon, or all this week, I should say, let's talk a little bit about the week before we talk about the individual day. 4 days this week, we'll be making presentations on the FY26 budget. Fiscal year for ECUA starts October 1, runs through the end of September. So this will be for a budget year that starts later into this fall. The 4 days of this week, we'll be making presentations on budget, and you'll be able to hear directly from individual directors about their department budgets. I do want to, and the schedule is as follows. Today, we'll talk about administration and the board, shared services, information technology, and finance. On Tuesday, the 13th, it'll be human resources, customer services, maintenance and construction, and our regional services staff. On the 14th, it'll be water reclamation and engineering, together with water production. And then on the 15th, it'll be sanitation and our materials recycling facility. And then we'll also wrap that up with some water and wastewater CIP discussions. We have provided to you copies, printed copies of the presentations you'll be hearing this morning. If you're a little more techie and want to see it on the screen ahead of you, please remember that you can identify the item on the left side, and you'll find a little paper clip next to that. If you click on that little paper clip, the right side will open if it's not already open. And then if you go to the item on the right side and go to the far right side and click the little eyeball, then a new tab will open, and that presentation or other item will show up on your screen as well, if you find that more convenient. So let's start a little bit with discussions about administration. Thank you. This week, most of the presentations you'll be hearing are for operations and maintenance. They're not capital until we get to Thursday when we talk about the water and wastewater presentations. The rest of the time is going to be operations and maintenance exclusively. On the 17th and 24th of June, the collective entire budget will be brought back to the CAC and the board respectively on those dates. In July, and then what follows after we receive feedback from CAC and board, adjustments are made based on that input. And then finance prepares our preliminary rate setting resolution that goes to the board, where we discuss what the rate implications would be with the operating budget. On August 26th, we have a final rate setting resolution that goes to the board. And just as an FYI, between the time of the preliminary rate setting and the final rate setting, we provide information in all of our customers' bills. They give some information about the proposed rate changes, if any, so that we're sure that our customers receive that information and have an opportunity to attend a meeting or provide other forms of feedback. Today's department presentations, already mentioned, are myself, Mr. Tommy Fitzpatrick, about shared services. Hammond Rizet will be talking about information technology, and Dustin Smith will be talking about finance. Because these meetings run a little long, we have scheduled or planned for a little dinner break partway through the meeting at the discretion of the chair when that occurs. So we'll do that when the time occurs. I'd first like to, before I get into the administration, give a little brief discussion about the overall budget. Just on the water wastewater side, because we'll talk about sanitation later in the week. Overall, for the entire budget, it looks like we're talking about a percentage increase in the range of about 4.61% of expenses. Keep in mind those are offset by revenues and other things, so don't think of that as being a final rate number. I'm just talking about expense side. Those increases generally fall into the following broad categories. And if you look at page 4 of your overall agenda, that's the page that I'm referring to. If you summarize some of those different categories into larger categories, they break down kind of as follows. Personnel expenses account for about 47% of that number, about $1.96 million. Support services account for about 31% of that number at about $1.3 million. Materials and supplies account for about 22% of that number, about $986,000. So we are still feeling the effects, certainly, of higher costs for everything from labor to materials and equipment, et cetera. Some of that we were worried and concerned about tariff related. Some of that's changing daily and weekly. So we'll have to see how that actually goes going forward. But that's the overall effect. Sanitation and MRF is in a than that, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So administration, our objectives for FY26 are as follows. Number one, to provide the ECWA board with timely and accurate information and coordinate staff activities consistent with board policies. As kind of at the top of the pyramid is our responsibility first and foremost in administration, be sure that information that we give you to make we give you good information so you can make informed decisions, and that we're following all ECWA codes and other directives of the board. Also, we work hard to enhance the public confidence that ECWA has in us as an organization from a financial management perspective, as well as through the services we provide. One thing they're working on, particularly for next year, is we're already in conversations with OpenGov, an initiative being pursued by Justin Smith. He'll probably touch on it during his presentation. As a means to share our budget information in a more graphical form on our website, so that information is more readily available to the general public without having to find our budget document and have to feel like you're an accountant in order to figure out where we're spending funds and our expenses. Number 3, we also work hard to recommend policy consistent with national utility standards and maintain amendments as necessary, and provide and involve stakeholders in review on major upgrades. You'll remember we talked just recently about the wonderful work our attorneys have done on the topic. Might be one head here. Screen. Still on objectives. We recently had a good presentation on what's been updated with our code book, and the fact that it's out and available, and that we've been working on updating various chapters, both in terms of how it's presented as well as making sure that they're up to date with current administration policies. We've also recently issued a draft copy of our engineering manual that's out for review, and involving stakeholders in that document before its final version comes back to the board. And before, we also work hard to prioritize efficient, proactive maintenance based on long-term consequences of how they perform and risk of failure. And we do that through asset management programs. While we've started initially in that regard, system called Infor through our maintenance and construction division, which Jerry Episcopo heads. We are next embarking on working on that same form of asset management through our GIS systems to mainly address our linear assets. That is certainly a multi-year objective because of the vast size of our overall infrastructure program. We also work hard to foster strong trust between ECUA, its customers, the media, business, et cetera, by good sharing of information. And we work hard to be sure that ECUA is an employer of choice. We want to be sure that our salaries are competitive, our benefits are competitive, that we provide a atmosphere where our employees are encouraging others to join us, and we have a good reputation in the community for doing so. And that we have an organization that anybody and everybody, regardless of their background, can grow and advance in their career. Targeted accomplishments that I want to talk about from 2025, good things that we got accomplished this year. We submitted the 5-year strategic plan recently in draft form. That got completed about the third quarter of 2025. We had an initial discussion about it fairly recently. On June 24th, based on conversations we had at that presentation, we'll be coming back to the board to discuss the mission and vision in much more detail and get board feedback on either adjusting what's already been written, scrapping it, starting over, whatever the preferences might be. Again, that's June 24th to work on that in more detail. Number 2, monitoring the efficient provision of utility services and making sure that we're keeping in touch with and being sensitive to our rates based on CPI. You may remember that last year in the spring of 2024, CPI was about 3.3. Pleased to say that our recommended rate increase last year was 3% for water, wastewater, and 3% for sanitation, so we were able to stay under that number. Number 3, we closely monitor CIP operating expenses related to the PFAS regulatory environment. While we've made wonderful progress in terms of the litigation on that topic, won the overall case and have what appears to be a pretty healthy sum coming our direction. We are still frustrated with the slow pace of disbursement of settlement funds in that case. You may remember this year we went forward with a budget using rate-based funds to cover engineering so we could keep making progress toward the subject with the hopeful intention of bringing back to you a budget amendment mid-year, recognizing revenue from settlement funds and appropriating funds towards construction. Hoping that might happen by January. Here it's already May. We continue to hear promises. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, but it hasn't happened just quite yet. We also we completed, I lost my place here. We issued a draft engineering manual update I mentioned a moment ago. That happened around Christmas time, first of the year. We're seeking stakeholder input on that engineering manual as requested by the board and certainly our customers as well. Look forward to bringing that back before the end of the year for approval by the board. Our finance department of this last year completed some really nice improvements for customers through our electronic system. We went away from our prior e-payment system to a InfoSend vendor who this last year provides more payment options, more convenience, rather than just the 3 or 4 usual payment modes. Now we can receive payments from almost any, not every pay app, but pretty close to every payment application that's available. It's very mobile friendly and also has some nice user features that allow you to schedule your payment, issue the reminders and other information as well. And we've received some good feedback on that. Coming up soon, we'll be working on trying to wean more of our customers away from paper and try to do more through electronic means. We've also, this last year, sought out to lots of grant opportunities to reduce our dependence on rates and CIP for CIP operations. We were successful in this last budget cycle, despite how tight the budget was, in receiving a $500,000 appropriation from the legislature. It still has to go through governor approval and the veto pen, so it's not assured just yet, but we certainly are optimistic that we'll have some funds that we'll use as matching funds to repave our compost operation floor, which is in serious need. We also, as always, met and exceeded our regulatory requirements and received awards, as we had in the past, at all of our water reclamation facilities, and continue to conform and meet with all requirements of our I&I program. A couple brief things about our actual financial program. If you flip over to page 7 of the agenda, first listed there is the ECUA's board program budget. The only adjustments from last year, only thing that's changed, every year there's a statutory increase in elected officials' pay based on rate of pay for a school board member, so we made adjustments there to accommodate what we anticipate in all benefits areas. I did program some additional funds just in case the board wants to. I've had a couple inquiries from a couple board members concerned about having ECUA business also on their business phones. So it's your choice if that is deemed warranted. I do have some funds to be able to provide ECUA board members with a phone if they choose to share. Other than that, very little, if anything, changed in the board's budget. There's still $3,000 annually in there for professional development. I've only had one board member really take me up on that opportunity in recent past, and we provide funds to reimburse board members for expenses associated with ethics training
Mr. Woody.
requirements. Sure.
Mrs. Benson has a question.
Yeah, tell me about the business phone. I don't.
Typically in the past, although we've provided some devices to help you with agenda iPads, I've had some inquiry from a couple of board members about concerns about doing ECUA business on a personal phone. So I've provided some funds to be able to provide an ECUA phone for those purposes if the board. That's not a policy we've discussed before the board just yet.
Yeah, I mean, just cell phones have been an explosive topic for the ECUA in the past, and it might be worth, making sure that, first of all,
yeah, I would need direction for that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
is there clarity as to any reason why we can't use our personal cell phones for ECUA business? That would mean that we would have to carry 2 cell phones, and we've never been suggested that. But anyway,
Yeah.
I would
There's
like
a lot
more
of-
information about.
Yeah,
about
lots of bits and pieces to that. All I'm saying is that I've provided some funds should that, trying to be responsive to some
So it's-
inquiries. Subject to more policy discussion.
Okay.
I
Mr.
think-
Woody, another question, please.
It's not a question, just a comment. I think I might have been the one that brought that up. I have a business that I run, and I quite often text back and forth with my customers very private information. And in recent developments, elected officials have their text out there in public, and I cannot have that as with a business. So I would either, I'll go get a phone, or ECUA can provide a phone for board members, but I'm not going to have just like my email, I use the ECUA email. Any email that comes to my business, I immediately send it to the ECUA email. I will not be public records at my business because it's just not good for I'm under very strict guidelines for cybersecurity. So, and that would be for my business, and both on text and on cell phone. So I don't answer, I don't take calls there on business. I don't send text on business. So I really don't want to use an ECUA phone. So it might have been me that brought that up, but I'm happy to go buy my own phone if it's an issue. So that may be why it came up, Lois, just letting you know.
Thank you. Any other discussions? Woody?
If you flip over to page 8 of your agenda, the administration's individual program budget is listed there. Not too much change to talk about. Our rental and leases are going up $500. That's just the cost of our Xerox machine that we share among many of our departments on the second floor. Increases associated with anticipated compensation changes over the next year. We always budget for things in advance in case they're realized. And then lastly, costs associated with our attorney are paid for out of this program. While we've had some pretty good luck with where we've been going lately, our attorney has done a wonderful job getting rid of settling or challenging various lawsuits, et cetera, that ECUA has from time to time. We had a backlog of those in the past. Many of those have been resolved. We did have a little bit of hit last year, the current year, because of one particular case around Christmas time that we spent quite a few funds with. I believe that to be really the only reason that we're up a little bit high this year. Next year, I'm anticipating a minor adjustment in reimbursement rates, and I put a little bit of a cushion in there in case on what we had in the past. Beyond that, that's about the only change from perspective. Any other change? Any other questions?
Any other questions, Mr. Kirshner?
Yes, sir, Mr. Woody. Our outside counsel, they are handling property damage, personal injury, bodily injury.
No, those actually get handled through risk management for the most part. Now, if there's a certain point beyond which they can be addressed, but for the most part, if it's traffic accident sorts of things and slip and falls sorts of things, if they're relatively minor in size and there's no controversy between the claimant, those are handled through risk management and our insurance agencies. If it goes to litigation, a larger claim, then we can sometimes be drawn into it, depending on whether we're defending it or whether our insurance company is defending it.
Thank you.
Ms. Benson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of months ago, I can't remember when it was, the board voted unanimously to have an item on the budget presentation regarding reducing physical waste in department by department, whether it was getting rid of Keurig or, and everyone was to have goals. Has everyone established those goals for reducing rate or recycling within their department?
I can't say every department because it kind of varies based on their function on whether that answer to that is more applicable in one department over another. So some of them impact may be small, some of them more serious, but yes, you will receive some.
And do you have one in your department in administration?
No, absolutely. The answer should be yes, but I'll admit we're a pretty small department with 2 people. I don't have a particular itemized item for just this small program.
Okay, are there any more questions for the executive administration? If not, I see I guess I'd ask, I see basically from fiscal year 2024 to 2025, in some areas a marketed increase, and I'm trying to figure what was CPI or what may have generated that significant increase.
I'm sorry, which particular?
From
you're looking at
fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2025, looks like under quite a few expenses, they increased substantially, and I'm trying to figure, was that CPI or what?
My question really is, are you looking at the overall budget on page 4, or are you looking at a
I'm
particular program
on
budget?
I was looking at page 8.
Page 8, okay. So you're looking at the executive director's office budget? So the only thing that increased from last year to this year in the personnel services budget, there's increases associated with salary benefits, Social Security, health insurance. The HR department talked a little bit about the increase we have this year for health insurance. Beyond that, there's really only 2 line items. One is for professional services, and I mentioned $50,000 increase. That goes to our legal department to cover their costs and expenses.
Oh, the professional
For
services?
professional services. And then the $500,000 is our Xerox machine. Our lease cost is going up next year. That's our largest Xerox machine. Is shared by several departments on the second floor.
And under support services?
That's just that's a summary of the 2 above it.
Okay, so,
That's a subtotal. So the overall change for the entire year is $67,030 down at the bottom of the page, bottom of the column. 50,000 of which is legal fees.
okay. Okay, all right, that satisfies me, thank you.
Yep.
Any other?
About 5 billable hours. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, as far as our legal expenses to date, 7/12 of the year would normally be at 58%. We're actually standing right now around 74% this far into the year, but that was because of a big hit over the Christmas time. I expect that's going to pretty much even up, and I think we'll be all right by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no further questions, I'll introduce our next speaker, Mr. Tommy Fitzpatrick, who will talk about shared services.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, board and committee members.
Yes.
Line up now. Well, my name is Tommy Fitzpatrick. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for Shared Services, and I have the honor today to present the 26th budget presentation for Shared Services. And so kind of want to go over what Shared Services is. There's basically broken up into like 3 basic categories. We do have administrative services that consists of 2 members, 2 employees, and then the Public Information Office, in which we have 3 employees in there. And then we just got added the Geographical Information System, which is GIS, in which there's a staff there and team also with that. The administrative division basically makes up 2 individuals. One of them is our senior confidential assistant. She's been here for 30 years, and she basically keeps us on our toes. So she is the one who makes sure, she's basically the backbone for the administrative support part of it. She takes over and looks at budgetary stuff and everything to deal with sanitation, composting, the MRF, customer service, IT, and fleet services. So she's very busy all the time dealing with different things, with budgetary things, making sure the procedural consistency is met, because sometimes somebody takes one way and somebody does something else. She keeps us on our toes and dots our I's and crosses our T's for us. So she's a big, big asset. Like I said, she's been here over 30 years. Then our next person is our administrative coordinator, which everybody knows is sitting right behind the desk there, Mrs. Amanda. And she takes care of the board reports, the board agendas. She makes sure that the resolutions are all met and everything. She does all of our minutes of the meetings after all these presentations. And another big one that she does, a lot of people don't know, is public records requests, which she gets quite a few of them every single day. She takes care of those too. One big initiative that we're going to do for this coming up year is to get rid of Granicus, which even today we're having a lot of problems with your board agendas on your screen, voting and so forth. So with the help of IT and staff, they've been going through many, many different presentations through different companies. And there's one particular company that the Escambia County is using and the city is using, and they love it. And so we're leaning towards that part of it coming up. And like I said, even the board members there and the city council members, they just love it and has no issues so far. So wish us luck. That's our initiative for this coming up year, to get you all set up. So that's with administrative division. The next part is our public information office. There's 3 fabulous people in this particular office. One of them is our public information officer, who's been here 30 plus years. She's consistent voice across our media and our vendor relationship. She's been in the community for over 30 years, built a big relationship with all the vendors and with the media. She really is really, really great with getting our message out to the media time of crisis, especially when there's boil notice and all that. That's on weekends, Sunday at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, she's constantly taking care of that. That is a really a big plus for us there. The other one is our educational program specialist, Sigrid. She is awesome. She goes out to the communities. She goes out to our schools. She goes community organizations. She's constantly training, giving out what we do as ECUA, what our core values are, water, sewage, and dealing with, the MRF and recycling and so forth. And one of the big things that we did take, and I know Mr. Woody may have forgot about it, but you did task us with it, and Sigrid's heading it up, is the sustainability, with which Ms. Mitza did just mention about that. So we do have a sustainability committee that we've started. So this afternoon when you go in to go eat lunch, or this afternoon when we go in there, you'll see there's new bins out there for our recycling and so forth in there. Another initiative that we came up with this particular year going into next year is during our employee lunchings that we'll have, once or twice a year for like Christmas time and so forth, with HR's help. We've come up with doing either disposable or washable, because we do have a wash station back there, so that we don't have to have as much waste. So that is definitely one of the things. Maybe just kind of forgot about that, but they're definitely in track, and we definitely have a committee, and we've been meeting every month about sustainability initiatives. So there's quite a few of those out there. So thank you for that, though. The other one is our big up-and-comer. She's new. And she's right over here, Maria. She is our digital and social media coordinator. I'm sure if some of you have Instagram or Facebook, you've seen a lot of the short videos and so forth on there. That is Maria's. She's been engaging on that. We have a lot of growth every single month. There's a lot of growth. We've been doing a lot now recently with career. Short videos with career pages and so forth, which is getting in like upwards of 100,000 clicks. So that's really a big deal, especially in this area, for that many clicks. So we're definitely moving up with that, and thanks to this wonderful team that we have. The next one is a newer department into our organization. That's a geographical information system, GIS, and that is really growing right now for us. A lot of people don't understand a lot about the GIS system and just thinks that there's pinpoints on the map, but it's really more than that. It's more of a asset management software so that you know where all your pipes are at, you know where all your valves are at, and so forth. And a lot of this we inherited back in the day from the county and so forth, so when we took over, so some of the information isn't always accurate. Well, this particular year, moving into this particular year, GIS is working with Regents, Brian's group, right over there. And as you can see on the screen up there, there's a little tablet with a little pole up there. Well, that whenever he goes up and he finds a valve or he finds the pipe, he puts it over it and hits a button, and it puts it within 4 inches of it. So we're definitely going out and doing a lot of auditing every single time Brian's crews go out there to do any kind of repairs or anything. They're double checking. And we're capturing that data. We're getting better and better at our data for our geographical information system. So that's a really nice up and coming part of our organization. So as of the overall budget, the total budget increase for this year from last year, we're looking at around $60,000. The majority of that, $40,000 of that, more than half of that is reallocated costs because GIS basically came from engineering department. So part of the software maintenance is $30,000, and professional development is around $10,000. So that's reflected in there. The rest of the money reflects cost of living adjustment and staffing. So right now I'm asking for no major operational expansion or new spending whatsoever. So with that, is there any questions?
Yes.
Yes, we have questions.
Work with the question. Anyway, I won't waste time. Is this geographic information system information, is it shared with any other entities?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Back and forth. Erin and her group monthly work with the county and the city and so forth with their GIS departments all the time. Yes.
The reason I mentioned that, I wondered about how the information is protected against those who might want to do damage to the system.
Correct.
Criminals.
Yeah, we're all on-prem, so we're on-premise, basically, so we have our own servers in-house. It's not in the cloud or anything like that, so we maintain our own, and so anytime there's any kind of data sharing or anything like that, it gets scrubbed through the IT department, and Mr. Hammond takes care of that for us.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ritz. Are there any other
Yeah.
questions? Okay, Ms. Campbell?
Well, first, thank you for the emulation, because it's the best teacher and the least expensive, because if it's working for someone else, then it's probably going to work for us.
Yes, ma'am.
And for the sustainability program, because, you know, I really appreciated Ms. Benson bringing that up last year.
Oh, absolutely.
And I saw the bins when I came in today, so I was impressed.
Right.
On the GIS, that will be the same system used by the county?
Yes, ma'am. The county uses Esri, which is ArcGIS. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I
Yes,
use
ma'am.
that
We use the
daily.
same.
Is ours going to be open to the public? Will we be able to go on there and see information or?
That would be something through IT right now with the way that they're doing with cybersecurity and so forth right now. But I know some of it is already online where you can go on there and see what area you're in and what new expansions are. So that is on our website right now.
I'm kind of more interested in our easements, to tell you the truth, because I can go on the county site and see the easements
Right.
if I put the filter on.
Right.
And I just wondered if our easements were also going to be on the county's website.
I'll have to look into that for you. I'll get back
Okay.
with you on that one.
Perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay, we are, seem to be satisfied on the dais with that presentation, so.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
And moving right along, our next presentation will be information technology. Information technology. And he looks like he's presenting today.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Good evening, sir.
I'm Hamid Razay, Director of Information Technology. Thanks for having me this afternoon to do my budget presentation. Just real quick, I want to go through our department and staff. I the picture displayed, we recently won the Bragg Pass competition. So right now, we're currently the most spirited team at ECUA. Just a quick breakdown of how the department runs. Obviously, we have a director of IT that oversees all aspects of the department. We have 2 information systems manager. One of them manages the IT infrastructure, like all the network equipment, switches, and firewalls, and that's actually Steve. Many of you know Steve. He runs all the tech support for the board meetings as well. And then we also have an operations manager that does all of our asset management, keeps an eye on the budget, and just basically the business side of IT. We have a help desk supervisor that makes sure the phones are always manned and the phone calls get answered, and then works and distributed accordingly. We have 3 information systems specialists. 2 of those specialists provide desktop support for all of ECUA, and one of them takes care of our PC replacement program and is constantly replacing PCs that are older than 6 years, or if they're just damaged and need to be replaced. Then we also have 2 information systems technicians that basically man the help desk, answer calls, try to solve the problem within 10 minutes. If they can't, then they distribute a work order. We also have a senior application support analyst that he's our subject matter expert on Central Square and SQL reporting. And then we also have an application support analyst that provides Tyler support. And in addition to these 2 main support roles, any complex software situations that can't get resolved quickly goes to them as well. And then we have 2 computing infrastructure support managers. I'm actually trying to get that title changed, but basically one of those is a systems administrator that administers the servers, and then the other one is a network administrator that keeps eye on our firewalls and all of our network devices. Just a broad view of what we do. We have 700 user accounts we manage. All of them have email addresses. We have over 1,100 end devices. That includes PCs, tablets, iPads. We have 246 MiFi devices. Those are the small in-the-field T-Mobile devices, and those connect back through a private APN, which is basically puts them right back on the network. They're not exposed to real-world internet. It has to go back through our firewall. We have 47 wireless access points that provide Wi-Fi, which are spread out over the 10 sites. And we do have 10 sites with 91 switches and routers. We have 4 firewalls, 343 phones, 14 physical servers, 4 email servers, 79 virtual servers in a VMware environment. These servers are anything from an application server for like Tyler or our database servers and whatnot. And then we have 19 network attached storage devices with over a petabyte of data that we back up throughout the day. On average, without including like password resets and monitor hookups, we do about 20 complex work orders a day, which actually requires some troubleshooting and sophisticated thinking and whatnot. And then we currently have 30 open projects, and by projects we mean assisting another department with a long-term software goal, or performing a major upgrade on a network system, or just something like that. And then also we provide workflow enhancements. And just to touch on that, one of the things we've been trying to do is get everybody off the paper work orders. We've made major improvements in sanitation, and we're working with regions right now. But that's kind of how we're trying to contribute to the, getting everybody to stop printing those work orders, because there's too many digital solutions now to have all these printed pieces of paper. So we also do a lot of technology consulting with the other departments, and lately we've been providing a lot of really good sophisticated reports, SQL reports, HTML, all types of live dashboards. So we've really made a lot of progress there. So it's just a broad overview of our budget. We were able to make some cuts in our software, which is our primary, makes up the primary aspect of our budget. with that being said, we also added new fleet maintenance software to that. So it would have been a lot more, but we got an exciting new product for fleet maintenance that's going to help make their, their processes run a lot smoother and more efficiently. So we just had a very minor increase of just less than 1%. We've also been taking advantage of a lot of free services that are government funded, so we're able to cut things we pay for and actually get better services through like Department of Homeland Security, and we've also partnered with local agencies to basically trying to get as much free stuff as we can, because there's a lot of good stuff out. Cyber's a hot topic, so we're trying to take advantage of that while they're dishing out a lot of money. Just some of our big goals and metrics. Probably one of our biggest goals is to get 1/6 of the PCs replaced every year. So last year we did 64 out of 60. 60 is kind of the sweet spot. If you can get 60 done a year, you end up pretty close to having no PCs older than 6 years. So we do have a tracker that tracks exactly what PCs are 6 years old, but generally there's PCs that are right around 6 years old that need to be replaced, that are having problems. So we make adjustments as needed. We're just not going right down the line. We are applying some common sense to that goal. So another one of our goals is to keep 90% of all phone calls to the help desk under 10 minutes. We feel like at that 10-minute point, if they haven't resolved the solution, then it needs to go to, it needs to be escalated to either desktop support or the network staff. So right now we're at 94% on that goal. We're trying to really push getting detailed comments on all IT work orders, not so much putting pressure on people to finish the job, because sometimes things get complicated, you got to order parts. But what we're trying to do is get people to update the comments. That way when a customer calls, even though the work order is not closed, we can provide details right there on where we're at. And then we can provide better communication to our customers, which is ECUA staff. 99.99% of availability, pretty standard goal for all IT departments. We're at 99.87 due to some of our external services going down here and there. And I believe on the next slide, this is just our overall availability. You see, like in quarter 2, we were almost at 100%, but things happen that are out of our control, but we try to stay right around that 99.99. And then when something does go down, it doesn't mean people actually lose that service. We have failover plans and things in place, but it just means we have to shift sometimes to something that may not be as fast, but it'll keep them going. We're really big, and we pretty much have to be big on training just to keep up with the changing paces of technology and the newer software versions and the new bugs, and we have to research updates before we push them. So there's a lot of education and training involved. For the last year, we completed just under 873 hours of training, and this is broken down into position-specific training just to make sure that everybody's growing, and we're providing all the tools that the staff needs to get their job done effectively. This is a sample of our quarterly phishing campaign. What this is a sample of a fake email we send out to staff, and then just try to educate users based on the click rates on what to look for in phishing attempts. As you can see, the red banner there clearly shows that this email was sent from outside of the organization, but it still has the ECUA logo. These are getting more and more popular. I believe the board members all received one, not from us, that was actually real, but we were able to contain it right after Mr. Perkins reported it. So for the most part, it was blocked. But with AI and deep fakes getting more and more advanced, and you're going to see a lot more of this. But one thing we can control is that red banner. So keep in mind, if you receive an email saying it's from ECUA and you see the red banner, it's most likely spoofing or somebody trying to get you to click on something. So. This particular campaign, we did get 6% of our staff to click on because it revolved around PTO, which is obviously a subject that's near and dear to everybody's heart. So we did get a lot of clickers, but we've still been maintaining right around 1% to 2% on most of our campaigns. And keep in mind, our very first campaign we ran, we got 25% of staff. So now we're right around that 1 or 2, but every once in a while we'll come up with a really good one that'll get a lot of people, but it's all just for education purposes. There's no, we're not singling anybody out. When they click on something, it pops up like an educational page and tells them what they, how they could have prevented that. There you go. I got you. I'm gonna wait a little while though, so that you don't forget about it yet. As you can see, we're still getting, all of them are getting stopped, as you can see, but we're getting quite a bit of activity on our firewall and virus attempts and whatnot. Probably about 4,500 a quarter is what we're averaging. So there's still a big global threat. It has slowed down a little since the election finished, but there's still quite a bit of activity, but we're keeping up with it. We're keeping everything up to date, but yeah, we're getting about 5,000, I guess you'd call them attacks per quarter, roughly 60 to 100 a day. Now, some of that's internal, some of it's external. But I will say some positive news, that web protection, we've got it down to 0, and that's because we launched a new product that we received free, actually, from Department of Homeland Security that filters our internet traffic. So we have those down to 0 because instead of the websites resolving from a public database, they're now being filtered out based on a federal database. So people just aren't able to get to these sites. And then we're doing internal filtering as well. So we've nipped that one in the bud, but we're still getting quite a bit of activity from outside trying to get in, just steadily knocking. Just some exciting new things were on the horizon. We just recently, Tommy and I and Gabe, the Director of Customer Service, attended a conference in Orlando for our customer information systems. We found some really nice sophisticated reporting tools and data validation tools that are going to be able to make Gabe's life a lot easier. And this will have a trickle-down effect on GIS because these tools will help validate all of our addresses in our database, make them more accurate. And then the reporting tools will help quickly get information instead of having to struggle to either run a SQL query or look something up. So we're going to have a lot of increased efficiency there. We're actually are moving forward with the lean search tool that we've been approved. We're going to get a parking space on the county's website for free. So that lean search tool, when we're developing it right now, but it's basically just going to be a tool. You'll be able to type in an address, and if there's a lien on it, you'll get that information. So that's coming up. We're also working quite a bit with, I actually just had a meeting with our regional cybersecurity advisor from Department of Homeland Security on incorporating more security on our operational technology and SCADA, like all of the industrial controls, not just, just information technology, but stuff that if somebody got a hold of, they could really wreak some havoc or do some damage. So we're getting ready to do some assessments there and see where we can improve. And then we're also going to incorporate more of that training into our annual training for all staff. And then we want to fine tune our master plan and really place an emphasis on developing customer and employee portals like the county portal, our internal portal, and just do what we can to make everybody's lives a lot easier and quickly access the stuff they need to. Very much.
Yes, sir. Hammond, thank you so much. You are a breath of fresh air. I really enjoy working with you.
Thank you.
Your cost savings is fabulous, and sustainability, I see it every day. Good job on the going from 25% to 6% on those fishing campaigns, and I know for a fact that lean search tools, we saved $70,000 from you getting with the county on that. So good job, really good job. Good report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
and very informative to a newbie here, meaning in the technology field and world. I'm curious to know, are you able to identify where the, I call them fissures, are originating? What country or what part of the world?
Yes, ma'am. We actually do geo-block in the firewall, but most of the countries that are known to be like either have malicious intent or just countries that have a lot of cyber criminal activity, we're blocking. And then for the countries we don't block, we can see their public IP addresses, and the first 2 octets of every public IP identifies location. So there are times where they're able to mask that, but we are able to tell, for the most part, where it's originating from. Like so.
Is that information shared with any other entity?
Yep. All the local, anybody, we call it MSISAC, it's multi-state information sharing. So basically, I'll email the county and the city. I don't know, I think y'all saw my email where we share all that information right away. That way, they can plug it right into their firewall too.
And what about the federal government?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we work very closely with Department of Homeland Security.
Very good to hear. Thank you.
Well, I share the kudos. The work of your department is so vital to the mission of this organization. Did you even exist 10 years ago? It's just so funny that we have evolved to this. But your increasing awareness to the employees through your phishing is wonderful. The last thing we want is to read in the newspaper that we have been hacked or that our water supply is contaminated, and so we rely on you to do that. How many employees in your department did you say?
We have 13 total.
And so, are you anticipating reducing that by increasingly relying on AI?
No, ma'am, I don't believe so, because as AI increases, we're going to need to monitor those trends. And from what I've seen, the technology's nowhere near being able to actually replace somebody. It can just make people's work more efficient. I haven't personally seen enough to where, not in IT. Now, I have seen some really good technology that revolves around call centers that could potentially reduce, or not necessarily reduce, but, like fill the gaps when it's tough to hire, because they're doing some really, like we did a demonstration with a company called Dialpad, and the AI, basically you could pick up the phone and answer using this software, and based on the software sensing the conversation, it leads you right to the solution and gets you off the call really fast. So in some areas like that, yes, but in IT, I would say no. I would almost say we would need 1 or 2 more people just to keep up with the technology, because we don't want to rely on AI. We just want to use it as a tool.
But just as a personal side note, my daughter has started a technology company, and for the last 2 months, the employee of the month has been Claude, who is AI. So they've learned to rely on this, but obviously, well, after she told me about Claude, I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm designing someone's laundry room right now, and I'm just going to let AI do it. Why should I work that hard? So I fed Claude all of this information about the laundry room and what was required and the dimensions and all that, and Claude came back. And you couldn't get in the door, and then you had to climb over the washer and dryer to get in there. So I refined it, and every step of the way, Claude was not good. So I'm glad we have real people in there. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think UI was wanting to know about AI too, so very good. Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you for an excellent presentation. I have a couple of questions on the budget.
Yes, sir.
Regular salaries, you're going from 824,000 round numbers to 852, which is an increase of 27,000, which is about ballpark 3%. On your life and health insurance, you're going from 163,000 to 209,000, which is an increase of 45,000, which is over 25%. And your fiscal year actual was 147. Can you explain?
I actually don't have any control of that part of the budget. I just control the operational. I would have to defer to Justin, and I think he's presenting next, so.
Okay. Second question, I'm interested, the lien portal, how does that work? What's the functionality for the average? Can customers use that, and how would that be useful for them?
Yes, sir. So right now, when somebody's inquiring about a lien, they're having to call the call center to make an official public records request. And it puts a lot of strain on the agent because they're not familiar with that type of thing. And then sometimes they'll call Amanda, and that puts a lot of extra strain on her because we all know how hard she works and how much she has on her plate. So what we tried to come up with a solution to where you wouldn't have to make a call into the call center. So basically, the tool will just be a form-based tool with just a blank, and you would type in the address, and then if that address is on the lien list, you would be provided with that information. If not, it would just tell you the address doesn't have a lien.
Who would use this? Is this like a landlord would use it, or go ahead? Enlighten.
Prospective buyers, so say I'm buying a house from a friend of mine that lives a few doors down, and I buy it, and then I find out there's an unpaid ECUA sewer bill, water bill,
That's on you.
$1,400, you know?
Okay.
Nobody told me about this lien. You know? So it'd be nice if I was able to go to a site like he said and just check for liens and things.
And yeah, it worked out really well because we're actually getting the parking space for free. The original quote on that was $80,000, so it's going to be very, very good for ECUA.
I was going to touch base on that for the doctor. So I have a company that does municipal lien searches. We're in the title insurance business. And when somebody does a contract, the new FAR contract says you will provide a title search and a municipal lien search. So the municipal lien search tells if there's anything due on municipal liens or utilities, code enforcement, or permitting. Because people are buying things to find out later, like he said, there's $1,400 bill. The good thing about it for ECUA is I don't think we have very much of a back due bills, because every time somebody closes a loan, we make them pay it off. You know, we don't, but the title company or the attorney that we give that information to makes them pay it off. And I have been asking for years, thank you, Hamed, how much do we spend on this? Because I know that the county had gone to a portal where we could get that information. We used to get it from them in a fax with handwritten, materials. And I said, well, that's outdated. We're better than that. But now they had gotten much better than ECUA. So I talked to Hamed about it. He met with them and was able to get on that portal. To get our own portal, it was like $80,000. So he saved us that. Plus, it's going to save us for time for those 2 employees that are now doing that. So good job on that. I really think it was great. And we collect, and not we, but the attorneys and title companies all over the state of Florida do a great job of collecting for the utilities. I think it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Bravo. Mr. Kirshner, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's a great presentation. I appreciate it. On the hard equipment that we're getting rid of, is there any salvageability in those pieces?
So we have to destroy the hard drives because you definitely don't want to divvy out any of those hard drives. But there are times where we're able to issue, like just recently, the old microphones. We put them up for auction. There is some stuff we can auction off. We just have to be really careful with that because there's some legislation revolving around that certain stuff has to be destroyed a certain type of way. But when we can, we do either recycle or reuse.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
How is your relationship with DHA? Is it stable? Have you noticed any changes? I know you talk about you're working with them quite a bit, so is that still a good working relationship?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Clyde, the first thing I did when I heard about all the cuts was I emailed him. I was like, hey, you okay? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm good. So he comes to see us maybe once every other month, and we sit down, we do a tabletop or an assessment, and then we just share information, and he talks about stuff he's seen, and works out really well.
Okay. And great presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, so continue with the good work you're doing.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay, board, we have our meal, if you will. So the question is, do we want to press forward, or what do we want to do? Okay, I am with you, but I wanted to give you the opportunity, knowing that you have something waiting for you, and also you can finish up if we stay at it, so. And he looks like he's ready to go, so we thank you for that. Just wanted to give you that tidbit, let you make a decision, you did, and now we're going to go forward with our next presentation, which is going to be on finance. And Justin, you ready?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Justin Smith. I'm the Director of Finance. And before I get started, I just want to address your question on the health insurance that you had for Hammond. And this will probably show up on many of the departments as you go through it. That is based on our actual cost for health insurance. So for IT, for example, right now, I'm not sure. I don't think they have any vacancies, or maybe one no vacancy. Yeah, so they're fully staffed right now. And what you see in that number for the next year's budget is the actual cost of to ECUA for the health insurance based on all the elections from all their employees that they have right now. If you go back to 2024, that number was much less. I think it was 147,000. I can't recall exactly what their situation was, but I know there's, some vacancies, people retire, maybe a position stays open for a few months or several months, and so that's why that actual cost was much lower. And then as you have turnover, as you have changes, not only changes in employees, but different changes that people make during open enrollment. If you have an employee that does not elect to take the ECUA health insurance, then ECUA pays nothing for it. Our cheapest option is on the employee only, and that runs around $10,000 a year per employee. The mid-range is what we budget for on vacant positions, and which is employee and children. There's all kind of different, employee only, employee spouse, employee children, family. The mid-range is right around $14,900 a year. The top end of the range is upwards of $20,000. So, if you have an employee that does not have ECUA insurance, and then next year open enrollment, they say, oh, well, I'm gonna bring on family coverage, then that's a large increase, or vice versa. So that's why the changes in the health insurance line item will not correlate directly with the changes in salaries or FICA or FRS. There's more variables on that, so that's why.
Well, you're saying that you won't have an employee, so you won't be paying him, but yet you're only increasing by 3% the salary that you're budgeting, but yet you're budgeting for an increase of 25% for health insurance. It just seems that I understand the fact that all the positions aren't taken, but then when all the positions are taken, you've only increased by 3%. Why is it not the same? It should be a little bit closer in estimate to the the number of employees you have. I understand that there are different ranges of health insurance and whatnot, but that just seems to be a large difference.
If you have a couple, like in my department, for example, I had a couple of individuals retire, one last year, one the year before last. Longtime ECUA employees, one of them had single health insurance coverage, so she only, she had insurance coverage for herself. Fast forward to the person that replaces them, they come in with family coverage. It's not, like I said, it's not a one-for-one, or if you have somebody that was previously in a position, somebody last year, they didn't have health insurance through ECUA because maybe they had it with their spouse or something like that. They leave, a new person comes in, and they've got some sort of family coverage. That's what the big discrepancy is.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, so I just want to address that because that's probably going to come up a lot throughout the presentations.
Okay, Mr. Smith, thank you for that response. We have one more question.
Justin,
before you get started.
mine's just a statement, about the horrific state of our health insurance. I'm not talking about ECUA. It's not about just, country in general. So I'll get on my soapbox here right now because we didn't have a lot of our usual guests show up. So I'll fill in for them and just talk about the horrific state of the health insurance because and not only has it gone up, and then Vicki, you can relate to this because I provide health insurance for all my employees in my various companies outside of this, and my premiums have gone up 30-40%. My claims have not gone up. They've just gone. There's no rhyme or reason or justification for why they went up. They're just going up, and that goes for United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, because I kind of run the gambit on depending on where the companies are located, and the coverage itself is substandard. So, I mean, even if the individuals have the premium, policy, I'm blessed enough to be able to have a pretty decent policy for my family. It covers nothing. So high deductibles, high copays, and it covers nothing. So I just want to say that, put that out. And nothing's changing here today on the statement I just made, but I did want to, and it's gone downhill. I mean, progressively over the last, multiple years, not a recent thing. So I don't look for that within ECUA or any company to go up. I look for us to be budgeting year after year after year for increases in health coverage and so forth. And now to stay competitive, because I do realize one of our biggest competitors with ECUA is not necessarily some of our city or county partners, it's the private sector. And so now benefits, retirement, things of that nature, we have to stay competitive in order not only to hire good people, but keep the right people here. So again, this is, so that there's no light at the end of the tunnel as opposed to oncoming train. However, this will be something I anticipate seeing you here again next year with some similar increase in health coverage going forward. And I don't have an answer for it. Apparently our politicians don't have an answer for it either. But anyway, that's all. Just a statement. Thank you.
We're not ready for your presentation yet. I have a few more questions.
That's fine.
Mr. Kirshner?
Yes, thank you. Retirees, how many general do we have with ECUA?
I would hate to guess on the number. However, with retirees, the retirees that still have their health coverage through ECUA, they have to pay for that. So that is not a cost to ECUA. So it's usually a small amount, and 40, 50 retirees at a time, because it's typically somebody retires and they need to bridge that gap between, when they're eligible for Medicare and things like that. But they have to pay the full cost of it. ECUA does not supplement the cost of their of the retirees' health insurance.
No, I understand. I was with the county commission for 8 years, so it's best to just keep on going rather than drop out of it, because I guess once you drop out, you're not going to get back in. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, once you retire from the Florida retirement, there's stipulations on how long you have to be out. RS.
I got it. All right, thank you.
Proceed.
All right. Now we'll talk about the finance department's operating budget for 2026. This is just an overview of the finance department. I've got four divisions: the administrative division, which is just myself and a confidential assistant, and then we've got the general accounting, accounts receivable and billing, and purchasing and stores division. So we handle everything from all of the financial reporting needs, monthly, quarterly, annual financial reporting, accounts payable, paying all of our vendor invoices, running payroll biweekly for all of our employees, preparing the budget, managing investments, and then in the billing and accounts receivable, sending out the bills. We have meter readers that go around and take all the readings. We send out over 100,000 bills per month. I think between all of our services, we have about 115 to 120,000 customers every month. So there's a lot of work on the billing, payment processing. And then our purchasing and stores division, they have 8 employees. They manage all of our formal solicitations, process purchase orders for things that are ordered throughout the day, for materials and supplies, do the formal solicitations on the large projects, and they also run a parts and supplies warehouse that has a couple $1 million worth of inventory there. Our department goals, number one, the main goal is to provide sound financial management, strategic financial planning, ethical procurement services, and asset control in order to support the effective decision-making and ensure responsible stewardship of ECUA resources. We try to be, bottom line, we try to be responsible with the funds and with the budgeting and accountability to make sure everything else runs smoothly. For our accomplishments, several of these accomplishments, goals and accomplishments, they're more long-term things. So we've had them last year. The first one was transition customers from paper to email bills. That was a goal, targeted accomplishment we had for this year's budget. As of March 31st, we've added 1,352 customers to receive emailed bills. Which that's good. We're headed in the right direction, but obviously I would like to see that increase even more than that. So we've been having some meetings internal, working on new strategies to reach some of these customers. We did a video that Maria did last week, so I guess it'll be coming out pretty soon. Hopefully it doesn't scare too many people away because I'm in the video talking about switching to email bills. So that's going to be a really big cost savings for us if we can get there. Out of all of our customers, 80% of our customers pay their bill online, not necessarily through the ECUA website and through our bill pay, but we do have about 50 to 60,000 customers process their payments through our website every month. But you look at the other electronic methods, whether they're using their online banking and going onto their bank, and entering their bill and paying it, or if they're enrolled in the pre-authorized checking program that we have at ECUA, 80% of our customers use an electronic method to pay their bills every month, but only 20% of them receive their bills electronically. So we're trying to close that gap and get more people to take delivery of their bills electronically. So for every 1,000 customers that transition to paperless billing, we'll save about $6,000. So that's real dollar savings that can be put to other areas of the organization. The other goal that we have is to grow the purchasing card program by 5% annually. Been making great progress on that. In 2024, fiscal year 2024, our purchasing card spend increased by 10.2%. That's creating efficiencies, every day in the office. We're not processing requisitions and purchase orders for small things. They're usually small dollar purchases that we use every day. So instead of doing a purchase order and then issuing a check and having this expenditure touch all these different parts of the organization, whether it's purchasing, accounts payable, the department that's buying it. We're cutting out a lot of that overhead there. Having that increase actually put us into a second tier, an additional tier on our rebate program with our purchasing card. So our rebate increased by $10,390, which was a 22% increase prior year. That dollar amount, I didn't have it listed in here, but the dollar amount of rebate that we received this year was $57,000. I think it's $57,800 was the dollars that we received back from Bank of America.
So to get a rebate of $57,000, what are you spending? How much is being spent? $2 million?
Yeah, we spent it was not $3 million. I want to say $2.7 million, $2.8 million in annual spend. One of the new targeted accomplishments for 2026 is we want to enhance the financial reporting section of the ECUA website. Want to add some additional reports to the website to increase accessibility by the public, put more of the monthly and quarterly reports on there. Some of the reports that we're giving to the board in the board agendas every month, I'm wanting to post those on the website. That's kind of similar to what cities and counties and other governments. And also want to have better information on our operating and capital improvement budgets on the website. Mr. Woody mentioned it briefly in his presentation, but we are working with a company called OpenGov, very popular government reporting software. They have a full ERP solution. We're not looking. I mean, they've got hundreds of things that can be used to service any kind of government. Escambia County uses them. I think Santa Rosa County uses OpenGov, different modules of it, but it is a software that that integrates with our current financial system. We're going to start out using it with a capital improvement budget, and it's able to take the CIP projects, and instead of the budget book that we do every year that has a kind of an antiquated looking data sheet on there that talks about the project and has a map, it takes all that and puts it electronically. Allows us to budget, to help prepare our budget for the capital improvement budget and provide real-time information. They have links to the website, so if we have projects that are going on, right now there's the, just kind of shooting from the hip, the Elvin McCorvey well is a big project that's going on, Pensacola Beach reclaimed water, some of those things like that are ongoing. You can highlight those on the website, and the customer would be able to go to the site, see the project, they'd get a little overview of it, it'd have a GIS link, it's all integrated with that, and they could have a timeline, what the budget is, what we spent year to date, life to date. So it's just a lot more accessibility, both internal and external. Good products. So we're looking forward to that. That's something new. We're in the works. We're talking to them. We're reviewing the product, but it looks like something that we're probably going to move forward with. Won't be in time for this budget, but if we can get everything to work out, what I would like to do is have it implemented and then go back and enter our capital budget for 2026 into this program and kind of do like a soft release of it before we start. The other targeted accomplishment that we have is wanting to update the ECUA investment policy. No major changes there, but things change. I think the last time it was updated was a little over 5 years ago, so just kind of a refresher on permitted investments and allocations and things like that. That would come to the board for review and approval once we get there. As far as the 2026 budget request, the total Requested budget for the finance department is $4,173,000. Most of that is personnel costs. We have 2.9 million in personnel cost, 395,000 in support services, and 795,000 materials and supplies. The total increase is $164,000 that we're requesting, and $153,000 of that is all related to personnel cost, and it's salaries is a minor part of it, and then again we have a large increase in our health insurance, and that is again that's based on our current rates, but that's the employees that we have right now. They have more employees with family coverages and things at a higher level than in the past. The other major increase is in professional services. I've got a total of $8,500 increases between professional services and accounting and auditing. Those are going to be required expenses that we need to have. Those are the best estimates that I have at this time. We will more than likely be subject to single audit for the federal grants that we currently have. We've got a lot of the septic to sewer projects, grants we received a couple of years ago from the state of Florida. They're actually a federal grant that comes down through the state. I believe you'll see it on your agenda at the end of the month for the board to award a couple of contracts for sewer expansion on those septic to sewer on 2 of those service areas. We've got 1 underway. So those costs will rise to the level where we have a single audit in our annual audit. And they cost about $5,000 a piece. Just more work that our auditor has to do to look into those grants specifically, and they're looking at compliance, and instead of materiality and statistical sampling and things like that go in a normal financial statement audit, the single audit, they literally look at every single payment request, every contract, the grant agreement. They look at all of our quarterly progress reports. I mean, they look at the whole 9 yards to make sure that we have complied fully with requirements. And then we have, we'll also need a bond arbitrage calculation. It's pretty simple, but for the financing that we did, the refunding that we did in October to save some money on the 2015 bond, we just have to do an arbitrage calculation with a professional on that to make sure that we did not earn any more interest than what we spent on those. Very simple calculation, but it's just a process that you have to go through to stay in compliance with the IRS. Not much we can do to get around that. But everything else, we had a few decreases and a few increases. We also had a small increase to the outsourcing of utility bills, and that's just due to our growing customer base. We left the postage the same. There's actually a $250 increase in postage, and that was because we budgeted for some postage administrative division for some things that we have to mail, hoping that the more customers that we get sign up to receive bills online versus paper, that postage number will come down. That's where we are right now for postage. That's all that I have for our budget. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. We do have some questions. We'll start with Ms. Ritz.
Would you kindly review the new online platform for payments?
Yes, so it's not really new. We started it last year on the ECUA website. If you go to the home page, there's 2 things right on that home screen where it says View My Bill or Pay My Bill online. What happens is right now a lot of people, say for the month of March, there was 55,000 customers that paid their bill through the ECUA website. When they go to make their payment, you've got 2 options. You can register, where you put in your email address and you create a password, so you create an account, or they just would make a one-time payment, make a guest payment. 29,000 of the payments that we received in March out of the 55,000 were done as one-time payments. So, so that was over half. The people, most of the customers, they go on, they have a copy of their bill, they put in their customer ID and location, they type that information in, and it pops up, it recognizes their bill, and it says you owe $50, whatever the amount is. They pay it, they enter in their payment method, and that's how they process their payment. We're just trying to get them to create and enroll their account.
Is there a charge for that?
No, there's no charge. There is a charge to make your payment, and there's always been
What about a one-time payment? It sounds like you can do a one-time payment each month.
you can't, it's the same charge. When you make a one-time payment through our website, depending on how you make the payment, is how the charge is set up. If you make it with your bank account, if you set it up as a ACH payment, it's a charge of 35 cents. If you do it as a credit card, it's 2.9%. So that fee is the same whether you make a one-time payment or if you enroll and receive your statements online, all that. The fee is the same either way. We're just trying to encourage people to log in, enroll with the service, and by doing that, you can see all of your bills. It has a full copy of the bill. It's in color, same thing that you get in the mail. Has your utility bill, and it has the monthly newsletter, the pipeline newsletter. Both of those documents are included in it. And the benefits of enrolling are you can see all of your previous bills, you can see your payment history, you can set up alerts, it's real flexible. You can do email alerts, text message alerts, and you can set the days. I want it to do it a week before the payment is due. I want an alert, and you can set that up, and you can get a text message. Don't forget to pay your ECUA bill. It's pretty intuitive, and like I said, there's no cost to enrolling. You pay a fee to make the payment online, but that's the same either way.
Is there any hopes that that fee would be eliminated in the future?
Yes, we've been talking about that as well. If we get enough participation in this, then we could change our pricing structure where ECUA could. I mean, the fee has to be paid by somebody, but if we're not sending out something in the mail and we're not paying the postage and the envelopes and all that, it would still be beneficial for ECUA to absorb the cost of an ACH payment instead of the customer having to absorb.
Thank you, Mrs. Ritz. Doctor?
Does it, for auto pay, is there a fee that's charged for auto pay?
It depends. So we have a couple different ways. If you are set up on that InfoSend site and you enroll, InfoSend is the name of the vendor that manages the site. So if you enroll in that and you can set up an auto payment and it charges you 35 cents a payment. We have another option, the pre-authorized checking, which is done outside of this platform. It's done through our customer service department, and there's a form that you would fill out to enroll in pre-authorized checking. That service is free to the customer. I want to say we've got about 15,000 customers enrolled in that. That's been around for a long time.
Another question, I'm sorry. So, from my understanding, does ECUA have a portfolio of money that you manage? You were talking about investment. Am I misunderstanding?
No, we have an investment portfolio.
Okay, and how much is in the portfolio?
There's currently close to $200 million in the portfolio. Kind of fluctuates between 185 million to 200 million. Most of it's short term.
That answers my question. And the other question is are you considering financial incentives to get people to buy into this, the program to pay the bills, not receive a paper bill. And so if they enroll and don't receive a paper bill and do the online, that saves $6 a year per customer, correct?
Correct.
If you incentivized it and made it, say you take $10 off their bill one time, if they stay enrolled for 2 years, then you would come out ahead, correct? Okay. Have you considered that, or as a potential incentive for getting people to go to online billing?
We've had discussions about it. We have considered that. That's not a decision that we can make as far as administratively. That would be something that the board would have to type of incentive. And there's some logistics involved. That's definitely been part of the discussion. Right now we're doing the shotgun approach, trying anything we can to get the word out and get people to change over to the paperless billing.
Thank you.
Mrs. Campbell, and we'll go right down the line.
Thank you. What percentage are on email bills?
What percentage of customers receive them? Mm-hmm. Roughly 20%. We're sending out about 25,000 emails a month right now on the email bills. Just for comparison, we're mailing over 100,000. We're mailing about 104 to 105,000 bills a month, and we're emailing 25,000.
Good luck on your video. I hope you look better than I looked on my recycle video. But and we should all share that when you do it, because video gets people they just watch video for some reason. So we should all share that when you do it, and I will. And good job on doubling your goal with the purchase card. I think on logistics of some of that stuff, we're waiting to see how they do on their side, getting it out through social media and email and what have you, before we do anything with the board, because logistics could be crazy. A lot of people rent, and so they might not even stay somewhere 2 years, long enough. So the logistics of it might be more costly than doing it. But is the auditing that you're undertaking, is that taken into account when we go after those grants? Is that something we add?
No, it's a federal regulation on that single audit, and we were lucky last fiscal year, we fell just under the threshold because we had a couple of grants going on at the same time. And the threshold, the expenditure threshold used to be $750,000. So the rule of thumb was if you, as an organization, spent $750,000 a year in grant money, and they look at them different, federal grants in one bucket, state grants in another bucket. But if all your federal grants had you spent $750,000 or more in a year, then you would be subject to the single audit on those grants. They increased that to $1 million. So this past year it was increased to $1 million, and we literally spent like right at 750 or 800. Wow. I mean, we would have been right on the cusp under the old standards, but we fell under the new ones. But this year we're going to be at that where it's required, and that's when we did the RFP for the auditing services. They build that in because we're a government and we do get grants. Part of their cost proposal, they have their base audit, and then they have their fee for additional single audit. Thankfully, all of our grants are all federal grants at this time, so they all fall under that same program. So it's just a one fee. But if you were like a city or a county that you get different buckets of money from the federal government, so if you get some under, say, a transportation program, and then you had a public works, then you had an environmental, all these different categories of government spending that we don't have. Most of ours is all environmental. You had those different categories, you'd have to have a single audit for all the grants in each one of those categories, so those expenses rack up quickly on a city or county.
Very good. Mr. Kirschner?
Yes, thank you. With increases of equipment, pretty much anything, these perceived tariffs that we keep hearing about, is there any impact to our organization?
We're really not sure. We've got some information. I've got some preliminary information, and I'm going to give a report at the board meeting this month, and as part of the financial report and the budget report. We really haven't received a whole lot from our vendors on tariffs. We've got a few. I think currently I've got less than 10 that we know about that are charging a surcharge due to tariffs. And that's a moving target. So there's a couple of suppliers that we work with. They've sent us letters anywhere from a 3% surcharge to an 8% surcharge. It just depends on what the product is, but it's not company wide. It's really isolated within a few items right now.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Perkins?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say on the bill and avoiding a fee, like I use my online banking from my bank, and a lot of people don't realize that you can just do that. You just set that up, type in the address for ECUA, and never have to pay the fee without doing the I don't like doing the prepay thing because I've heard horror stories about people who did that and had a leak they didn't know about, got a $1,000 bill and paid it, and then had to fight to try and get the money back. So I like to put eyeballs on mine each month and do it. But if you set it up through your bank, it's easy to avoid the fee.
Like I said, there's no charge on enrolling and receiving the bills via email. It's just that payment method.
I get an email too on mine before, like, I get that email, so if it was 1,000, I'd call the bank and say, shut her down.
So what percentage of your customers do you want to see go paperless this year?
Well, the immediate goal, and it is kind of a hefty goal, is the customers that are making payments online right now that are making one-time payments. Like I said, for the month of March, that number was 29,000. If we could get the majority of those that are going to the site and making the payment, it'd be no change to them except for creating the account where they're already going. That would effectively double the number of people that we are sending the bills electronically.
We want you to put a number on it.
Yeah, well, that'd be 25,000 customers. If we could convert 25,000 customers, I would be ecstatic. I think it's attainable. It's a large number, but I think it's pretty easily attainable.
It's like 25% of the customer base then,
Well, it's
right?
not quite 25. Yeah, it's about 20%.
Okay, so if you did that in 5 years, we'd be at roughly 100% of customer base.
Yeah, I realize 100% is probably not realistic, unless we were to mandate that customers had to receive a bill via email. So I get that, but just for this year, I think adding those 25,000, which would be 20% of our customer base, I think that's very doable in 1 year. I don't think that's sustainable year after year, but if we could get close to kind of match how we're receiving our payments. So long-term goal, if we get 75% of our customers to receive their email bills, that would be a really nice place to be.
From my perspective, the numbers help me see where you're at, where you're trying to go year over year. And so if you don't give me numbers on something that's quantitative like that, it really makes me question whether or not the strategy, the goal is clear, whether or not you have a working plan to get those 29,000 customers to be paperless by the end of the year. However you plan to do that, with the video or whether through some direct mail or whatever. And so that's what I'm constantly looking for when everybody's up here making a presentation, is if you have goals, then it lets me know that you have a plan in order to get there. And this is not just to you, but this is to the listening audience as well. So if we want something to be successful, then to say, of course, 100% won't do 100% in 5 years, but we can definitely say we have met our mark if we are on the other side of 50% in 3 to 4 years. And remember, I like to see some results while I'm here on the board. So I kind of want to see how close we're getting to what we started out doing, you know, when I first served. So that's my little bit of information. Thank you for your presentation. And remember, if I don't see a light, I don't know whether or not you want to speak. So now I know Mr. Stevens wants to speak, and then we'll address Ms. Ritz. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Justin, just following up on what Mr. Williams said about having the quantitative number, and then you alluded to the fact the only way we'd get 100% is if we made it mandatory. And this is obviously something the board will have to discuss in future meetings. But if you kind of follow the concept of imitation is the best form of flattery in the larger companies, you have a lot of your telecoms, a lot of your banking institutions that are pretty much 90+% automated now. And they started out sending us all letters saying, this is a service we're offering. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. And then eventually, much like the Real ID, it got to a point where it's now, we will no longer be sending out paper statements. I got a couple letters from Navy Federal and some other credit unions saying, I know you're kind of old school, but we're not providing that service any longer. So I could see us again, with further discussions talking about that, possibly not this year, maybe next year or the years to come. But usually it's making suggestions, it's talking it up, it's getting our marketing and advertising folks to go out there and push it and advertise it, and it's great. It's a savings, it's good for the environment, hugging the planet and all that good stuff. But eventually it gets to a point where this service isn't offered anymore, and or won't be offered, and there'll be some type of deadline or something. Again, board approval and discussion, but that would be one way to facilitate. Mr. Williams, how quickly can we get to 100%, and if that works? So because again, right now everything is automated, online, bill pay, that sort of thing. But you've got a lot of older folks who are just want that paper bill, have that paper bill. I'm one of those. I consider myself older, by the way, but like to have the paper bill. But I've had so many services that I personally subscribe to that just don't offer the option. Or I'm getting letters now saying the option that I have now will no longer be available by the end of the year. So anyway, just a comment more than or a statement more than a question. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mrs. Ritz.
Thank you. I put the thing up in the air. Question. How quick is a response sent back to the payer once the payment has been authorized by this institution that you have on network with? Do they acknowledge that the payment has been made, or do you have to wait and look at your bank statement online?
I'm not sure how long it takes for it to get from their service to the bank. I know that's different. That's financial institutions talking to one another. You get a confirmation immediately.
From this institution?
Yeah, whenever you make your payment, as soon as it's done, you get, hey, thank you for making your payment. On the guest payments, we do require a telephone number be added there, and that is in case there is a problem. Say if a customer goes online to make a guest payment, they enter their payment, they get their confirmation, hey, I made my payment, but maybe they put in the wrong bank account number or something, it gets kicked back and there's a problem with the payment, the vendor can then send us that customer's phone number and the payment amount so that we can contact them. You get your confirmation immediately.
Is this going to be reiterated in the pipeline?
I believe it has
I know,
been in the pipeline in the past,
If you
but
don't
they,
have 100% yet, is it going to be reiterated in the pipeline? And mention to them how much would be saved on ECUA's part?
yeah, there's, I don't know if it's gonna be in this next month, but it's gonna be in the pipeline. Little article about it. We're gonna put a message on the bills, on the face of the bill. Have to kind of work around some other things where we have to put the CCR message and a proposed rate resolution message. Those are all coming up, but as we have space around that time, we're gonna put a message on the front of the bills.
Thank you, Mrs. Ritz. I see no more lights, so I conclude that concludes your presentation. Thank you. Now, we're going to move to unfinished or old business. Is there any unfinished old business we need to address? I don't see any. Okay, we're going to move forward to new business. Is there any new business to be addressed? Not seeing any. We're going to go to committee communications. Are there any committee communications? Anybody on the dais? Mrs. Campbell.
Have we gotten away from the request to speak?
No, I would say definitely say no. However, during the presentations, I'll tell you my protocol is to look to the left, look to the right, and look for the lights.
Yeah.
And address it that way, just in case I miss your request to speak, I won't miss your light. So that's what I requested. And furthermore, to that point, wait to be acknowledged before you speak. That way I can continue to control the meeting and it can go in an orderly fashion. And that's how we'll do that. So.
Yeah, so that, I just want to make sure everybody knows how that button works.
Okay.
So we have a button if you're, for instance, I'm on committee communication right now. If you click on that, it will turn it yellow. And then if you click on the request, the speakers, it will show you who is speaking. So right now it has me. And if you want to speak, you just push the button and the button will put your name next in line. And then the chairperson can just go down the list. They don't have to, it's nice. I do the same thing, look left and right to make sure, but I just didn't see a lot of speakers on that today. So I just wanted to make sure everybody, I know we got new members, so I don't know if everybody knows how it works, but that's how it works. You just hit it, it highlights, and then you hit that request button, it puts your name up there. It makes it easy for him. Thank you. You're welcome.
And I will say again, just for these special meetings, just put your light on, and I will acknowledge you. Mrs. Benson, did you have something? Right.
And sometimes when everybody has a button on it, gives feedback, so.
If you want to speak, put your light on, and I will acknowledge you from left to right. All right, and I think we've done really well today with that format. So if there are no more committee communications, we're going to go to our open forum. And it is lonely right now with open forum, so we don't have any pink petitions for speakers. And before we adjourn, which is a motion that we have to have, I want to remind everybody that there are refreshments in the back to go. So please, ma'am, please, sir. And this is usually our time to fellowship, if not anything else. So hopefully we'll have time either tomorrow or the days following to do that. I know they don't like to wait, so we consider them today. All right, if nothing else, I have a motion to adjourn. a verbal motion to. Mr. Stevens and Mr. Kirsten seconds it, so if no questions, we have to take a vote. I didn't make this up. So, by a show of hands, can we, it looks like everybody wants to leave. Okay, it's approved unanimously. This meeting is adjourned. That's just it. I didn't make